Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hello.
Jonathan Voico.
Morning, everybody.
Chris Carr is here.
Hey, everyone.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day, and here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you've got a thought, theory, opinion, or question, and you'd like us to address on the show, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on our little movie show here, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about the tip link. It's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be watching the show later on in the day when we're not live, or if you're listening to our show on our podcast feed, by the way, guys, go and subscribe to our podcast feed so the audio version will be there when you need it. You can also send in a thought, comment, or question to our tip link because, like I said, it's good 24 hours a day. And if you send it in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this. Fast and the Furious 10 sucked.
What?
But it was a little bit better than 9. 9 was like one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
What a high bar.
Yeah,
It's better
like-
than the one where they go to space with duct tape?
That happens to be the one that they go to
Wait,
space.
how is that not the best one?
Yeah,
That feels like the most reasonable.
this math doesn't add up. I mean, so I know it's a hot take, but still, 10 was better than 9. Jason Momoa in it was delightful and great. I love Jason Momoa in it. Anyway, it obviously left off with a big cliffhanger, and we're supposed to be getting a Fast and the Furious 11 or Fast and the Furious 10 Part 2. Or why not just call it
So
Fast
20?
and the Furious 3 Part 8? Let's just do it. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Or Fast and the Furious 4 Part 7. Let's do that. It's fun, right? I don't understand this idiot thing of like, let's call it Fast and Furious 10 Part 2. Anyway, it was supposed to originally come out in 2025. But Fast and Furious 10 took a significant dive in the results that they generated for the studio. And so everybody knew the studio might have something to say about, Dominic Toretto running around and spending $300 million. Or was it 300 million plus?
It was a lot.
Yeah, like it was a huge, like it was one of the most expensive movies ever made in history.
It's a lot of family.
That's a lot of family. And so there were reports that came out that Universal wanted them to tone it back, make it more street level again, like the original few Fast and the Furious movies, make it a heist film like the original with street racing again, try to bring that. Well, anyway, I guess the complications have mounted because while this film was originally supposed to come out in 2025, one of the stars of the film is saying she doesn't even know when they're going to start shooting. This comes to us from CBR, who wrote the following. Fast and Furious 11, also known as Fast X Part 2, again, I like Fast 3 Part 8, but has just received an update. Unfortunately for fans, the update from Mia Toretto actor Joanna Brewster will leave them with more questions than answers. During a recent interview with Screen Rant, Brewster was asked if she knew when production would commence on Fast and the Furious 11, which is set to pick up directly after the cliffhanger ending of 2023's Fast X. Unfortunately, the actor had not received a definitive start date yet. However, she hoped that one would be coming her way soon. She said, "I don't have a timeline. I'll probably read it online or I'll try to get some information out of Vin," she said with a laugh, "but no, I don't know yet, but hopefully soon." All right.
It's always great to find out you got a cast like by reading it online. You're like, oh, I'm in that?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's better than the alternative where you go, oh, I did such a good callback.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
Logan found out about Gray Man.
I have a friend too who's an actor who got told they got a role in a movie and then never got contacted again and read in the trades when that movie started shooting.
No.
Yeah, like
that's
they got told they
horrible.
got it and then got silently fired, I guess,
Yeah.
from it. It's like,
It's like all those parties I never got invited to, but thought I was.
Yeah, that's right. It's so sad.
The Lord is so sad.
It's so sad.
Wow, okay, let's take a moment. For Jonathan.
I'm like looking on
know-
Instagram, like, there was a party?
That party.
Yeah, you know what this means? I think Vin Diesel is finding it hard to make a movie when you're not in the Caribbean islands or Dubai.
Yeah,
you
when you
know.
can't just travel all over the world. Because listen, look, everybody knows, I've said this a million times, I'm a big fan of Vin Diesel. I got a total
we
soft
love
part of my
Vin.
heart. I love Vin. I
love
really,
you,
really
Vin.
do. But let's call a spade a spade. He started treating the Fast and Furious franchise like a big leprechaun pot of gold at the end of the rainbow as an excuse to take his friends and buddies and family on trips all around the world every time they were making one of these movies. Hence the $300+ million budget on Fast X. The fact that they don't even have a start date yet
It's very Blady of them.
is a very Blady.
It's a Bladian concept.
Yeah, it's the Bladian concept.
The Bladian strategy.
They're
there is
just waiting for Mahershala Ali to be available.
interesting. He is.
Apparently.
He's very available.
I don't know. It's a question. Look, am I kind of over the Fast and Furious movies?
Yes.
It's well, on one hand, yes, because they've been so bad lately. But on the other hand, no, because I've had a lot of fun with a number of them. Some of them I think are just great. And if they can do what they were saying about
I forgot about Europa.
Oh, yeah.
Pussy makes a return, everybody.
It's back.
My Lord,
Guess
what
who's
is it?
back?
Euro Pussy is our little Sebastian.
Yeah.
So he's back. But I mean, look, if they can do what they were suggesting and actually like get back to like street racing, street level heist movie, limit the characters, don't make it globe trotting. It could be really fun.
Can they go back though? Is my question.
think so.
They went so far ahead of
and so fast.
and then go back, and then go back. Seems such. I hope they make it work.
This
Really.
one they have, what I want to see them do in this one is definitely keep it grounded. And by grounded, I mean travel to the center of the earth.
Dwayne's
on,
already
Tyler.
done that if he's coming back.
Like the mole men. Anyway, guys, question is for you.
We're gonna end it with that.
We're
John?
going to end it on that note.
With no true conversation
On
about it.
that note,
All right.
whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.
We didn't have.
With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Ryan Reynolds, always keeping himself busy,
Always.
between buying a beer company now and having new partners over at Wrexham, enjoying great success at Wrexham.
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, by the way, just had the highest R-rated box office grossing film of all time with the $1.33
Yep.
billion dollar
Billion.
Deadpool and Wolverine. So what does he want to do next? Well, it's not going to Disneyland, but not surprisingly, he wants to work with Shawn Levy and Hugh Jackman again. As Variety is telling us that Ryan Reynolds is right now writing a non-Marvel project for him, Hugh Jackman, and Shawn Levy. They wrote the following. After a record-breaking success of Deadpool and Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman fans have something new to look forward to. Reynolds is working on a film unrelated to Marvel, which will have him teaming up again with co-star Jackman and director Shawn Levy. Reynolds shared his plans during a recent interview for a Variety Awards Circuit podcast episode, which is set to be released later this week. He said this. I'm spending the year writing, Reynolds said during the podcast. I'm writing a movie for myself, Hugh, and Shawn to do. That is not Marvel. All right. First of all, I love this. I would love to see more of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman together again. Even if it's something completely different. You know what they could do? What was the name of that movie with Tom Hardy and I think Chris Pine? Was it Spy
the
versus
spy
Spy?
one with Reese Witherspoon?
Yes, that's what it was. Was it Spy versus Spy? Was that what it was
Maybe.
called?
Let's see
Something
here.
like that,
Tom
right?
Hardy,
Where again they're
This Means War.
This Means War. Okay.
Oh, I forgot
Where
about that movie.
they like have like their adversaries again, or maybe
Yeah.
it's a buddy cop movie. I mean, I don't know. But Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman working together, I would love to see more of it. Here's the interesting part of this. And he gave no details, by the way, about whether it's going to be a action, drama, period piece, romance. It doesn't say what it's going to be. All we know is that it's not going to be Marvel, which raises an interesting question. Since Deadpool and Wolverine, a lot of people have speculated about whether or not and when Ryan Reynolds will pop back up in the MCU, about whether or not or when Hugh Jackman will pop back up in the MCU as Wolverine, and all that kind of stuff. If Ryan is saying, I'm going to spend the next year just writing, and he was very quick to point out it's not a Marvel thing, I'm going to assume once he's got it written, he's going to want to get it done. So, I mean, I wonder if this is something. Now, look, we always talk, Chris, about the fact that an actor can literally shoot 5 movies a year, because actors are not working on a movie for 2 years like the directors are. They're literally, they fly in, they're there for 4 to 12 weeks, and then they fly out, right? So they can do many movies, but Ryan Reynolds does a lot more than that. He's also writing and producing, and he's got Wrexham, and he's got a beer company.
Wrexham Lager, which only ships to the UK right now, apparently.
They're expanding. That's the whole plan.
That's
Yeah,
the plan.
I'm sure there's going to be a way to get some of that here.
Send it to me now today, please.
I cannot help but wonder if this gives us some insight about to how quickly or not we could see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool or Hugh Jackman as well. Again, I don't think Hugh Jackman's coming back. I've said that before. I don't know that he's not. He very well could. I'm saying I actually think he's done. But for those who like to choose to believe he still may be coming back, whether something like this could get in the way of that or not. Because if Ryan wants to spend a year writing and looking after his beer commercial, and remember, him and Blake Lively have a rule in their marriage. Only one of them is shooting a movie at a time. And if he's saying he's writing for a year, I'm guessing that means it's his rotation to stay at home with the kids, and Blake is going to be off shooting something. I don't know. Do you think this announcement, first of all, what do you think about the announcement of Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, and Shawn Levy doing another movie together? And then do you think this announcement in any way can kind of derail hopes of seeing Hugh Jackman or Ryan Reynolds back in the MCU anytime soon? What do you think?
Oh, I'm very excited about this, and I don't think it derails anything. Not at all. I mean, I know this is a very different kind of example, but Rob has been working on True Noir for months every single day. And I'm in like every episode, and I've showed up for like 5 sessions. So like as an actor, you do less, right?
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. But if you are doing all those other things, that can take up time. So one, I love them all coming back together. I really enjoy, particularly Ryan and Shawn working together. I love Free Guy. I really enjoyed Adam Project.
Adam Project was much better than it had any business being. I really quite enjoyed it too.
So much Netflix stuff. You know, I love, but I accept that it's trash.
Right.
I love, to quote my husband, I love a Tombstone pizza worth of content, you know? And that was actually a beautiful, heartwarming film that had really fun effects and everything, and introduced us to Walker Scobell, who's incredible.
And by the way, Elektra was in that movie too. Jennifer Garner was in that as well. Yeah.
With little 13 going on 30 reunion within there. I love them all teaming back together. I think that is so, so wonderful. Hugh Jackman also is taking this time to do live stage performances again.
Yep, he's got a show going on right now.
So I feel like this is a really great time for both of them to kind of go back to artistic endeavors. And I'm not saying that in a Scorsese, Marvel isn't cinema kind of way, but Ryan clearly loves writing and creating. And Hugh is a song and dance man who loves performing live for people. They have so many different ventures going on, but I don't think that's going to keep them from coming back here. I do think there is always the potential of Hugh Jackman coming back to do some more Wolverine stuff. Maybe not a whole film where he is doing like a two-hander, right? Where he's the second lead, his second name on the marquee. But I do believe that Ryan Reynolds is prophesizing things over at Marvel. He already did there's only going to be one Blade.
Right.
Rut-row. And that seems to be coming truer and truer every day. And him
Any
doing
minute, an announcement, any minute is coming. I'm telling you.
that Mahershala Ali is part of Fast and Furious 11. And I think Hugh maybe will do this till he's 90 and just keep popping in and out there whenever he feels like it. I know him staying in this level of shape is not his ideal situation.
No, he does not want to do
He does
that.
not enjoy doing that.
And listen, he's getting older.
He is getting
and
older.
the older you get, the harder it is to have that kind of physique.
But I think we can at least, if should we go off into the what if kind of scenarios, the House of M scenarios, if that ever pops back up, we have an old man Logan in there.
There
right?
you go.
And he doesn't have to do prosthetics this time. He doesn't have to be aged up. He just
Dang.
gets to exist there and have a chiller time on set.
Dang, bars.
I
Straight
do
off
think
the bar,
it's
like-
interesting, his quote, like, I'm spending my year writing this. I spend my year thinking about all the things Ryan Reynolds has to do in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the cost of my own family, but it is worth it, I find.
I spend my year usually purchasing all of his alcohol.
So I don't know where he has time, but that's wonderful.
He comes up with it. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? First of all, do you love the idea like we do of Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, and Shawn Levy working together again? Granted, a non-Marvel project. And do you think this could impact in any way, or does it say anything about any potential impact about Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and their possible, if at all, returns to the MCU? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Agatha all along ended up being a much bigger hit from Disney Plus than anybody expected it to be. We talked about this on the show the other day, but they did something that very, very, very few shows on Disney Plus or any of the streaming services do. Their viewership went up every week, and the finale ended up being up 50% over the viewership of episode 1, which means everybody kept watching and more people kept jumping on board. It was a big success for them, and it was better than I thought it would be. And so I don't think it's the top tier of Marvel. I mean, that's WandaVision still to me, but then there's that next tier down where I think shows like Loki, Ms. Marvel, and now I think Agatha. I think it fits kind of in there. And then you got all the refuse that comes after that. And there is a lot of refuse. At any rate, they always kind of pushed Agatha as, and they called it, a limited series. It's a limited series. That basically means it's a one-shot thing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, not so fast. Because it looks like the people over at Disney and Marvel are now reconsidering the limited series thing, because they are submitting it to the award shows not as a limited series, but rather as a full-fledged series, comedy series. This comes to us from the folks at Screen Rant, who wrote the following. According to a new report from Variety, Marvel Studios and Disney Plus are submitting Agatha All Along in the comedy series category rather than as a miniseries. Notably, the Television Academy's official criteria for the limited/miniseries category states that, quote unquote, the program must tell a complete, non-recurring story and not have an ongoing storyline or main characters in subsequent seasons. Having Agatha All Along be submitted as a comedy series thus raises the chances of a season 2 renewal. At the time of this story's publication, Sony or Marvel Studios and Disney Plus have not made any comments on Agatha All Along's future. All right. So Agatha All Along ends with, Spooky Ben and the Ghost Detectives walking out to go and find the brother, right?
Which is comic book canon. I mean, it just shifted from Wanda to Billy.
There are many things in comic book canon that I don't think they should do on screen.
Sure, but I feel like every time we talk about how silly it is, we have to go, but the comic did do it.
Mm-hmm. It's true. There is at least a version of it.
A version of it, yeah.
Is there. So it kind of felt like, okay, so we're not done with Agatha or Billy, but it may not be a season 2. It could be a 5-minute appearance in another movie that storyline gets tied off, whatever. But look, this is the same thing that happened with Shogun. Right? Because remember, Shogun, which is the best show we've had in a couple of years, I think. Shogun was supposed to be a one-shot limited series. And then word got out that they pulled it out of the limited series category and resubmitted it for best drama. That's when everybody started to speculate, I think they're going to do a season 2. And it wasn't long after that we got the announcement that season 2 was coming. This feels very, very similar to that. That I think what happened here was the show ended up being much more successful than they thought it was going to be. It's certainly more successful than any of us thought it was going to be. And I liked it. I had a good time with it. And I think we are now, Chris, I'll dare say weeks away, not even months. I think we're weeks away from getting an official announcement that there's going to be an Agatha season 2. Mm-hmm. And maybe that means they changed their plans with what they were going to do with Agatha and Billy later on or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, what do you think of this move? Or do you think maybe it means nothing and they just think they have a better chance at winning some awards in the comedy category than limited? I don't know. How do you see it?
Oh, I mean, it could be that. It could be them just hedging their bets here and everything. But I do, as I always say, I don't trust and love anyone. And so anytime they say it's a limited series, I'm like, sure, Jan, I bet it is. I think obviously it's going to get a season 2. It's been wildly popular. It's had really great critical acclaim, and fans have seemed to really enjoy it. Plus, we have some things that we can tie up here. We've got Billy still looking for Tommy. We've got Agatha in her ghost mentor role. We've got Jennifer Kale alive. That's the most exciting thing to me.
Yeah.
Jennifer Kale,
Just
of course,
flies away at the end.
flies away. Cousins with Johnny Blaze. This can tie us into Midnight Suns. There's a lot of really fun potential stuff you can do here to keep expanding the more supernatural side of the Marvel Universe, which I think is a fun one to explore, especially if we do have people who are still claiming that superhero fatigue exists. Really, as we've constantly said on this show, it's mediocrity fatigue. But if you do want to dive into that more supernatural, spooky realm of things, that's a great way to still get those Marvel movies out there or Marvel content out there, but explore the dark stuff. Because even though this is being categorized as a comedy, man, there were some really scary moments in this show. There was some straight up horror in this show. And that's when I think Marvel has always done its best, is when it stays near the sandbox, but starts playing in different kind of realms. I want to see them build different structures. I don't want them to always use the same cookie cutters.
Yeah, that's a good point. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It's starting to look like Agatha was going to get season 2 all along. You see what I did there? And do you think that's the direction they're going? Maybe not. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, we still got a couple things to talk about, including Daniel Craig doubling down on his comments that they really screwed up by not giving Glass Onion a wider theatrical release, and now is coming out saying Netflix needs to give Wake Up Dead Man a wider theatrical release. We're going to discuss his comments in a second. And also, now that things are starting to evolve, we're going to talk about what were the 5 big mistakes we think that Marvel made leading to the decline they've had recently, and what are the things they're doing now to correct those mistakes. But before we get to those things, we're going to take a couple of minutes here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Tile Trackers and BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Life 360 Tile Trackers. With the holidays right around the corner, it's all about family, fun, and of course, keeping track of everything while traveling or hosting. For me, that's where Life 360's Tile Trackers are an absolute lifesaver. These little things help keep the holiday stress in check. Whether I'm tracking my keys, wallet, or even our luggage when we travel, Tile Trackers make it easy to keep tabs on everything important. Just open the Tile app to ring it when it's nearby, or track down its location on the map if it's a bit farther. I had mentioned this one time I went to a poker tournament in Vegas, and I keep everything, my wallet, my tablet, and stuff like that, in this satchel backpack of mine, and I thought I lost it. I went crazy for hours until I finally realized I had left it in the car. If I had had Tile Tracker, it would have made my life a lot simpler. And here's one of the things I love about Tile. Tile syncs with Life 360, so I can see the location of my family members and all of our tiled items in one spot. So make your holidays a little less stressful and family-proof your season with Life 360's Tile Trackers. Visit tile.com and use the code Campea to get 15% off. That's tile.com. Use the code Campea. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Guys, we all know November's all about gratitude. And along with those we appreciate, let's not forget to thank ourselves. In a world as busy as ours, just making it through each day can be an accomplishment. One important way to show yourself some appreciation is by investing in your mental health. And that's where therapy can really make a difference. Therapy isn't just for those in crisis. It's for anyone wanting to learn better coping skills, set healthy boundaries, and work towards being their best selves. You often heard me talk about that it's great that we prioritize our physical health, but it's time that we also prioritize our mental health. Let's start encouraging ourselves and others to take steps to improve our mental health as well. So if you've ever thought about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, super flexible, and fits right into your schedule. You just fill out a quick questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists anytime at no extra charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to the good folks at Tile Trackers and BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I love the Knives Out movies. I'm a sucker for a good mystery movie. I fell in love with the first Knives Out. I really enjoyed A Glass Onion. I'm still not sure if I think it was better than the first one or not. Like, I think they're that close. And of course, got really excited when they made the announcements for the third film, Wake Up Dead Man. The cast looks great, very excited. But one of the things that star Daniel Craig was not very happy about was just how limited of a release that Glass Onion got theatrically. And in a very, what is now famous conversation that he had with the head of Netflix at a screening, when the Netflix had said, it's not, giving a wider release is not our, what did he call it? Is not our model?
Model.
Yeah. To which Daniel Craig replied, well, your model is shit.
Is fucked.
It's fucked. That's right. Your model is fucked. And so
It's going on my Christmas card this year.
It's not surprising that Daniel Craig is now making more comments about how, again, he believes Netflix should be giving Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man, more of a theatrical release. He said this in a recent interview. You know what? I do. This comes just from Variety, by the way. Daniel Craig said when asked if he thinks Wake Up Dead Man should play in theaters for longer than 1 week, hopefully Netflix will push it out a bit and people will get to see it. The people I speak to, the fans, I suppose, all they want to do is take their families and go see it at the cinemas. That's all they want to do. Hopefully, we can give them that experience. All right. Now, look, you guys know my position on this. The movies are best in theaters. That's where they are meant to be experienced. That is where you have your best experience with them and all that kind of stuff. And that's where the artists want their stuff to be seen. Of course, they know it's going to then end up on Netflix, and that's fine. That's great. That's part of the life cycle of movies. Has been for a very long time. Movies come out in theaters, then they're there for a while, and then they, in one shape or another, make their way into home video. Whether that home video is a Laserdisc, whether that home video is a beta cassette, whether that home video is VHS or DVD or Blu-ray or streaming now. Right? That's a natural part of the life cycle. No problem with that. But they still want them to play in theaters first. Chris, we've talked about this a bunch. Mm-hmm. Netflix did a little small number of markets, 5-day release window for Glass Onion. And for the number of theaters it played in and for the short amount of time it had, they had good results.
Oh, they had great ones.
Which tells us how much more successful it could have been if they gave it a longer run. And then, of course, having any theatrical run, let it have a big launch on Netflix, which was great. And now Daniel Craig and others are just saying, more of that. Mm-hmm. Let's do more of that. This is a movie people will go to cinemas to see. And the more people that go to see it in cinemas, as we have always said, will just make its streaming launch even bigger when it does have its streaming launch. It seems to make sense to me here. Anyway, are you surprised to hear Daniel Craig's arguments here? And at this point, what would Netflix's argument be against this? I don't know. How do you see it?
I'm not surprised by Daniel Craig's statements doubling down on this. I don't understand why Netflix is so recalcitrant to do theatrical releases. It makes people go to your streamer. It makes more people go. We've seen the data. I don't understand how you can argue with actual data. That's just insane. Like, you can feel however you want about Netflix, but the data is there. So I don't know what they need to do to start getting their poop in a group, but this is ridiculous. Just, if you want to make money, these movies that you're spending so much on, because these are, let's not get confused here, these all have the budgets of movies with theatrical releases.
What was the deal again that Netflix paid Ryan Johnson for was it like
bundle
$250 million or something along those lines?
Right.
And these are actors too who don't come cheap or anything. You know, it's
true.
Star-studded casts and people who we all absolutely want to see in this kind of environment. So if you're going to spend this kind of money making movies that feel theatrical, allow them to have a theatrical release. Otherwise, keep making, you know, the Christmas Prince Part 4 or whatever the hell you want to do. I don't know. I don't understand why you as a company would go, money.
And I get it. They want success for the streaming business.
Sure.
But if you put it in theaters, again, data. Again, feel like Chris said, feel however you want. The data is right there.
Yeah.
When you put it in the theaters first, it will have a bigger launch on your streaming service than if you just went directly to streaming. Anyway, I hope they do give it a little bit more of a bigger rollout. And it couldn't be done for better movies. I love these Knives Out films. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about Daniel Craig's comments? Do you think they'll listen? I mean, listen, it sounds like Netflix has been listening to Greta Gerwig. Sounds like she's going to be getting her IMAX theatrical release for her Narnia movie, so maybe they'll listen to Daniel Craig. But whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, we've talked for some time, particularly ever since after Spider-Man No Way Home. Because to whatever degree you feel, we've said this a lot on the show, whether you think it's been a little struggle or a huge struggle, most of all of us agree that Marvel has had, say, more struggles than they have had previously. On that, I think everybody can agree. Now, we may not agree to how severe the struggles are, but we all agree they're not quite firing on all cylinders the way they had been. And we've talked ad nauseum a lot about different times when that's happened, how it's become apparent, what the causes for those are. So I want to take a second, because somebody wrote me an interesting message last night asking about, you know, the troubles with Disney, and he was comparing it to like a mechanic. But like, John, what do you see Disney doing to fix it? And I thought, you know what, that's an interesting topic. And I thought we would talk about it here today. So what I want to do right now is go over, some of this is a refresher course for the first part. What are the 5 things I think that has led to Marvel being in their current situation of struggling more than they were prior to Endgame? But maybe more importantly then, what are the things we see them doing to rectify the situation and to try to fix it? All right, well, let's get things started here. The first big problem I see, and these are in no particular order, that has led to Marvel having some struggles, is this: lack of an identity for the MCU. And I mean that in several different ways, in terms of faces, tone, and story. On the faces side, you've heard me talk about this before, right? Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Captain America, weren't just big stars. They were the faces of the MCU. And you could feel their DNA in everything, right? They were kind of the centerpiece of the whole cinematic universe. And when they left at the end of Endgame, I remember we made videos about this. I think that left a really big hole. And I said, one of the big challenges for Marvel is going to be now replacing that leadership, not of the leaders of the Avengers, the leadership of the cinematic universe. Who you got to establish the new faces, because you're going to have a lot of faces, but you got to have those figureheads, those ones that are the heart and the soul of it. And they, up until this point, they haven't done that. Also, lack of identity and tone. While you have a lot of very different kinds of MCU movies, right? Like Ant-Man was very different from Civil War. Nonetheless, there was a definitive DNA in all their movies that you truly felt like you were watching a Marvel film. A lot of that had to do with the involvement of Kevin Feige, which we'll touch on a little bit later. The third thing with the lack of identity is story. You know, while every movie in phases 1, 2, and 3 had its own story, they also felt like they were all kind of tied together in this larger cinematic universe, ultimately being the Infinity Saga and leading us into events like Civil War, then Infinity War, and then Endgame. Since Endgame, how many times have you heard us and many other fans going, so what is the story of the MCU right now? And nobody's had an answer for that because they haven't given us one. It's been years now and they haven't given us one. So that's the problem. Here's what I think they're doing about it right now. In terms of faces, I think that's still a big question mark, is faces. Like, who are your definitive figureheads of the MCU now that Iron Man and Captain America, well, the Steve Rogers Captain America aren't there? Are they trying to establish Sam Wilson's Captain America as one of the new leaders of the cinematic universe? Are they trying to position Doctor Strange as a leader of the cinematic universe? I thought there was an opportunity there to kind of reposition Thor as one of the leaders of the cinematic universe. They don't seem to be pursuing that. Is the upcoming Fantastic Four going to give us a Reed Richards? as a new figurehead of the cinematic universe? Maybe yes, maybe no. But it seems like maybe, hopefully, they're trying to go in that direction. One of the other ways I really think they're trying to now get everything and get their ducks in order is in terms of tone and story. Now that Kevin Feige's a little bit more involved, and again, we'll touch on that in a little bit, but also now we've got our understanding of the story and the direction where things are going. Will the smaller movies start to reflect that? Certainly hope so. So there's that. All right. Number 2. If the first thing that I think caused the problems for the MCU was the lack of identity, the second thing is just too many projects. Guys, do you know? You go back into phases 1, 2, and 3, you had years where you had like 3 projects, 3 Marvel Cinematic Universe projects come out. And that's in phases 1, 2, and 3, that's when they were firing on all cylinders. But then came Disney Plus. And then came the demand for more and more content, something else we'll get into in a bit here. But that led to one streak, Chris, between 2021 and 2022. The MCU had 18 projects.
Jeez.
18!
That's reasonable, right?
That's an average of 9 per year. Now, granted, that was a combination of big feature films, big Disney Plus series, smaller specials, things like What If, but still, 18 projects.
And almost none of them with showrunners.
And no, none of them had showrunners. None of them did. And it kind of led to a situation where the big problem was in the first couple of phases, we talked about tone being an identity. Kevin Feige had very firm grip and control over the projects that were happening. As they started expanding to 5 projects a year, 6, 7, 8, and 9, it was just way too much. Kevin Feige progressively more and more was able to be involved less and less and less in all those projects. And many of the projects, even some of the ones that weren't bad, just stopped even feeling like MCU projects. Quality control came way down. That definitely hurt it. And you ended up having a situation where, because you had so many projects, when you had 3, we can pick our 3 best directors we want to work with. We can pick the 3 best writer or sets of writers that we want to work with. We can pick our 3 best stories that we want to develop, right? But once you get to 8, I won't even say 9, 8, well, now you're in a position where, well, we've got the 3 we really wanted to work with, but now we got to work with 5 others that didn't make the cut before, but now we have so many projects, we are literally working with people that we wouldn't have worked with before, but now we are. Because we got to go further and further down the ladder. You started to have a diluting of the talent base in what they were doing. So you had less quality control because Kevin Feige couldn't be involved nearly as much. You're now working with people that otherwise you would not have worked with because you just got too many projects going. And you just started to dilute the overall process and project. Now, how are they addressing this? Well, we've talked about this one already too. Bob Iger came back, and one of the first things he mandated was, we are reducing the amount of content we're going to create. We got to focus more on the quality rather than the quantity, which was a big reversal of direction, because when Bob Chapek was there, remember, the Marvel executives revealed that the mandate that came from Bob Chapek's office was create as much as you can, as fast as you can. And that doesn't work. And it didn't work for them, and it hurt them. So the first thing I was saying was that they lacked identity. The second thing we're saying is that they had too many projects going. The third thing I want to suggest is this. They just started introducing way too many characters way too fast. How do I mean that? Let me take you back to the beginning of the MCU. Okay? There was a philosophy. Let's establish our core and let's stick to our core, and then we'll start to pepper in new faces here and there. Let's go back and take a look. They started off with Iron Man. Hulk, then went right back to Iron Man 2. Then they started to get their main base together. Then they had Thor, and they had Captain America, the First Avenger. So now they got their core. So what did they do after that? Avengers. got our core there. Peppered in a few other faces to join our core, but it's still our core. Then they had another Iron Man movie, then another Thor movie, then another Captain America movie, sticking to the core, the identity of our franchise, the people, the faces that the audience is accustomed to and like. And then they introduced Guardians of the Galaxy. Only after they did 3 Iron Man movies, a couple of Thor movies, a couple of Captain America movies, and an Avengers film, once they really had their core, then they started introducing new faces. And they started that with Guardians of the Galaxy. And right after Guardians of the Galaxy, boom, right back to core with another Avengers film. Then another new face with Ant-Man. Then boom, right back to Captain America, back to core. So you see, they had this philosophy, and then the next new face with Doctor Strange. They had this philosophy over their first few years of really making sure that we have our core and we focus on our core. And it's within that environment that we start to slowly drop in new faces. Guardians of the Galaxy, core, core, core. Ant-Man, core, core, core. Doctor Strange, core, 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 right? Ever since Spider-Man No Way Home, that's kind of gone out the window. In a very short window of time, and this could also tie back into the whole point about the lack of identity in the MCU lately, because in a very short window of time, we all of a sudden got a vomit of new characters. Some of them very good, I'm just saying, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we had Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, Monica Rambeau, Ms. Marvel, Echo, She-Hulk, The Eternals, Kate Bishop, Werewolf by Night, and on top of all that, of all those new characters, suddenly they were now elevating what were background characters. Suddenly now Shuri is a frontline character. Suddenly now Falcon is a headline character. So is Winter Soldier. Agatha is now a frontline character. Wanda and Vision were background characters, now foreground characters. Like, so on top of all the new faces that just got dump trucked on us, they were also elevating characters that were already there, but were secondary characters and now thrust to the forefront by throwing out so many new faces at once. It just kind of left, again, it goes back to that other thing about a lack of sense of identity. They were no longer giving us one new or two new characters, establish them, then drop. No. That was out the window. It was just all these brand new characters, and nobody in the audience kind of knew, where is this whole thing going? How do these tie in together? Why should I even care? Because we get introduced to Moon Knight. And how much stuff have we seen Moon Knight in since? The answer is none times. None times. We got introduced to Shang-Chi. That movie was great. None times.
None times.
None times. I mean,
I'm full.
It's just they did that. Now, how are they fixing this? Bob Iger is bringing his philosophy that he had with Pixar, because what happened? When it wasn't Bob Iger, Pixar just started to put out nothing but originals, which some people celebrated, but it kind of hurt Pixar maintaining its identity. We had a streak of like 4 or 5 completely original films come out, and most of them didn't do very well. So Bob Iger comes back in and says, okay, we need to do originals. That's how we get new franchises. We get franchises from originals, but we need to also go back to the things that the audiences already love. So we're going to do another Frozen. Duh, they were billion-dollar films. We're going to do a new Moana. Duh, that's going to be a billion-dollar film, right? So I think what you're going to see is, now that they get the backlog all out of the way, I think we're going to see Bob Iger, Kevin Feige start to establish some of these characters more. I'm not necessarily saying we're going to get 5 more Captain America movies, but maybe let's get a Shang-Chi 2 and 3. Maybe let's get, I mean, I didn't love the Hawkeye series, but maybe we're going to get our Kate Bishop series. Like, start to firm up and establish the characters that are here before we start glutting out more and more new characters. So yeah, too many characters too fast is the third reason. The fourth thing that I think led to some of the struggles of the Marvel Cinematic Universe over the last couple of years, I hate to say it, but was the Kang experiment. The Kang experiment was badly handled because Kang showed up and he was supposed to be this great, awesome big bad being portrayed by an amazing awards caliber actor. And ultimately, what did we get? We got this guy in Loki season 1 that was no threat at all and ultimately died because what was the female Loki's name again? Start with an S.
Sylvie?
Sylvie. Sylvie just did stabby. That's all. Oh no, the big bad. No problem. Stabby. There, he's done. Now then he talked about, oh, there's a worse one coming. Oh, okay. All right. So we get, which came first, Loki season 2 or Doctor Strange or Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? I think Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania came
Yes.
next.
Right.
So Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania comes out and, oh, I'm Kang. He literally got beat up by Ant-Man and some ants. Oh, no, John, he didn't get beat up by it. He lost to Ant-Man. However you want to semantics it, he lost to Ant-Man. And then we see him again in Loki season 2. And again, it's really, I don't see anything there to be threatened by. They did a terrible job of truly launching Kang. Because nobody felt dread. Nobody felt fear anymore. He was stabbied and beat up by Ant-Man. There's nothing less to feel dreadful about. Oh, and a football stadium of coked out guys going, roar, at the end of the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. A football stadium of 1,000 Kangs going, oh, like they were fucking college bros. They totally botched it. You know, Darth Vader came walking through the smoke of a door, and the moment he came through that door, everybody was crapping their pants. And I just felt like they really botched the Kang experiment. And regardless of Jonathan Majors' personal legal troubles that happened, that aside, I think they were going to ditch Kang anyway. Not because of Jonathan Majors, not because Kang isn't a great character, but because they botched it. They botched that character. And I think that hurt them. And now they've got to pivot and go to Doctor Doom. And hopefully that will right that ship. So the Kang experiment was another thing. And that's how they're going to fix it. They pivoted to Doctor Doom.
So they need to add smoke with Doctor Doom then.
A lot of smoke.
Get that effect, baby. Come on, Marvel.
They absolutely do. They have to have, when they bring him out, they need to bring him out with a bang.
Right. I get it.
And something that demands your attention when he shows up. Because you introduce some weak sauce the way they did with Kang, they're dead before they get started. So I think that's going to be really important for them. All right. The fifth thing that I think was one of the reasons the MCU started to struggle, and what I now think they're doing about it, it's got to be said, leadership instability. Now, companies will change leadership and regimes, and that happens. The problem was there was such a stark difference in philosophies that Bob Iger had as CEO versus what Bob Chapek brought to the table as CEO. Bob Iger was establish our franchises, make sure we're always serving our core consumers, and most importantly, give the authority to the creators. That was his big thing. That was his big philosophy. Give the authority to the creators, which is why Kevin Feige had pretty much a free hand. He answered to the great Alan Horn, yes, but for the most part, let Kevin Feige cook. Set him loose and let him cook. Bob Chapek, on the other hand, had a very different philosophy. He wanted to treat it more like a business. In theory, there's nothing wrong with that, but in treating it more like a business, he said creatives shouldn't have the authority. We need bankers to have the authority. Bob Chapek created a middle layer of management run by his banker that now Kevin Feige had to answer to them. And also they stripped away Kevin Feige's power to decide what to make and where it goes. And that authority went to the banker. And then came the mandate, make as much as you can, as fast as you can, and just shovel it out. That leadership instability crushed them, I think, creatively. And How are they fixing it? Well, Bob Iger's back. Bob Iger gave creative control back and decision-making power back to Kevin Feige. One of the first things Kevin Feige did was stop what you're doing on Daredevil. Stop it. We're no longer under the rush it out as fast as you can thing. The Daredevil we're making is not working out. We're going to start over and make the right Daredevil. Captain America 4, stop. This is not working out the way that we wanted it to work out. The mandate of just rush it out anyway is no longer the law. We're going to stop what we're doing. We're going to correct the mistakes on it, and we're going to put out a better product, hopefully. So those are what I see. I see that the problems have been lack of identity, too many projects going, too many characters too fast, the Kang experiment failed, and leadership instability. Lack of identity, they're starting to establish new places, new tones, and finally starting to give us a sense of their story. Too many projects, they have pared down the number of projects they're going to do every year, and hopefully that's going to start giving a better, higher quality output. Too many characters too fast, I think you're also going to see them just by reducing the number of projects. That's going to help, but they're going to start focusing on, let's start establishing these new characters we brought in before we just start throwing out a new glut. And by the way, they better start establishing because X-Men are coming.
Mm-hmm.
The Kang experiment was a failure. Well, they've already corrected that. They've decided to move on from the Kang experiment and now focus on Doom. And hopefully they've learned a lot of lessons for how they botched Kang to make sure they don't make those same mistakes with Doom. And then the leadership instability. And listen, the leadership instability one isn't solved because Bob Iger is still retiring. And hopefully one of the things that they tell any prospective new CEO is, the creators have to be in charge. I mean, you're in charge as CEO, but don't put too many middle layers of management. Don't put bankers in charge. Let the creatives create and let them have the authority they need. So that's the 5 things that I see have led to kind of the struggles that Marvel has had. And now, at this period of time, the things I see them doing to hopefully correct them. Anyway, Chris, that took a while for me to get through. What are some other reasons you see? What are some other solutions you see them doing? What did you think about any of the ones that I did? I don't know. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I definitely think the pivot to Doom is a smart idea, but kind of piggybacking off of that, it being Downey isn't enough. That's not enough of a big thing. And so you do have to make sure that that character is firing on all cylinders. Doom is a character that even your casual comic book viewers, even your casual just like moviegoers know about Victor Von Doom. My mom knows who Victor Von Doom is, right? So you really have to make sure you nail that character, give us a good reason for why he's got Tony Stark's face, all that good stuff, right? The other thing that you talked about, introducing too many characters, not only introducing too many, introducing them for 5 seconds in a post-credit scene and doing nothing with them. Doctor Strange 2, we have Clea, right? Thor Love and Thunder, we have Hercules. We have Pip the Troll and Star Fox from the Eternals. And then my personal favorite, we made a note about the Sinister Six. In Spider-Man Homecoming, Vulture goes and talks to Scorpion in prison of how there's a bunch of us who'd love to take care of Spider-Man, especially since you seem to know who he is.
Including Morbius. Somehow.
Somehow. But Toomes in that, if we're staying in the proper MCU, right? Toomes even does I don't know him, which now plays into the universe we have set up. No one knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, right? So Toomes literally can't know.
Yeah.
But we have this perfect boots on the ground situation to authentically establish our Spider-Man baddies and pursue that. And that was 3 movies ago.
Yeah.
And I love what they've done with Spider-Man, don't get me wrong, but there's all these little threads that we keep having and no one's pulling at them. They just kind of stay there. And it's useless. It's absolutely useless. Like seeing Clea played by Charlize Theron in Doctor Strange, I just went, we're not going to have anything to do with that. Which is disappointing. She's an incredible actress. What an amazing role for her. But like, we keep being set up for these things to come that never come into fruition. And I think that's been a huge misstep is, hey, nerds, get excited for this comic book thing to happen. And then we don't deliver on it. It's not enough to present an Easter egg. You have to have follow through.
It's like the blue balls of nerddom.
It absolutely is. Stop making us a bunch of X, all right?
Yeah. Or Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, are you, what is he, what's his line? Are you sure you want to do that, Doctor? Or whatever the line is. Woo, it's Blade.
Yeah.
But he's gone.
And so is the
Forever.
So is the night.
That was the whole movie.
That's 3 out of 5 topics you guys are mentioning in Blade. Do you guys have something against me today?
Blade.
All Blade. It's not blue balls, it's blade balls. That's what we're gonna start.
Oh, no.
When a movie
Oh,
never
golly.
comes to fruition, we're calling
There
it
it
blade
is.
balls.
Well, it all falls in the Bladian theory.
The
of-
Bladian theory of balls.
All right, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? What do you see have been, number one, don't just say the problems, but how do you see those problems that Marvel has struggled with being addressed right now by Marvel or not? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that all down, we're now going to move into the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment and thank another sponsor. Speaking of blade balls, of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Manscaped. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Manscaped. You know that fresh from the barbershop feeling? Now you can get it anytime with Manscaped's brand new Chairman Pro package. So let's talk about the main star here, the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver. This shaver comes with 2 skin-safe blade heads. There's the 4-blade foil for that clean, close shave, and a stubble trimmer if you're keeping a bit of that rugged look. Guys, this thing has Flex Adjust technology, so it adapts to the contours of your face and neck, giving you a smooth shave without the irritation. And yes, it's waterproof, so you can use it right in the shower, no mess. They've also included Power Shave Gel, which makes every shave glide smoothly and the face shave smoother to keep your skin calm, hydrated, and free from razor bumps. So if you're ready to upgrade your grooming game, head over to manscaped.com and use my code CAMPEA to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com using the code CAMPEA. Your face deserves this level of care. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff. Your live comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Cody Hunt Film says, I like that we actually saw Rex Calabrese in this recent Penguin episode. You know, I didn't put those two together either. It didn't dawn on me from his original speech. The way Oz describes him, I'd always imagine him as a character with gravitas, maybe portrayed by an actor like Liam Cunningham. In reality, he turns out to be a wiry street thug. At that time, he was still young.
Yeah, I think there was more to it than that, though. Like than what you just saw there was just kind of at that stage,
Right?
But already with a certain rep and everything for somebody even like with a young Oz. I am still shaken by that whole episode. The whole thing that, I mean, every time this show gets you feeling a little bit for Oz, they were like, no, listen, Oz is a piece of shit, man. Ooh, he is broken. And I've had a lot of people writing to me and saying, John, he clearly purposely murdered his brothers. I still don't know that I buy that.
They clarified it in the after the post show. They said he didn't purposely, but he also didn't intervene to go get them or say, hey, I think I know where they're at.
Yeah, because you still saw him at the house later, like still kind of looking out the windows, like when are they coming back? And then didn't feel all too broke up about it. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about this show. It's so complex in that level, and even like the callback to Rex and stuff like that, they just handle it so well. All right, what's next?
We got Spencer who says, I have been watching videos on Cosm all weekend because they just announced they are opening their 4th Cosm location here in Detroit. This viewing experience looks amazing. I can't wait to catch a Lions game in this place. Did you enjoy your trip to Cosm?
I had such a bloody good, I brought this up yesterday on when I did open mic, but if you can bring up my screen here. So like, this is a video. Those are my knees. Control yourselves, everybody. But this looks like we are in the stadium. Look at this. As I bring my camera up, just keep watching. Now, if you think that's impressive, just look at this.
Yeah, the edge screen is incredible.
And then all the way back across. And then you're right under the goalpost.
I know.
Oh, by the way, shout out to Jerome, who actually was.
John Campea Show viewer came up to us. Jerome, if you're watching, thanks for coming up. To
I
us.
was going to ask about football. when they get all the way down there, is it kind of hard to tell what's going on? Or
No,
two
they
cameras?
have 3 different camera
Okay,
angles.
all right.
So they have from the end zone, they have a wide full end zone to end zone shot.
Yeah.
And then they have kind of a more of a field level view sort of thing.
I wish I could have been there for Freeman's Grand Slam.
Because they show the Dodgers. It is
Yeah.
insane. Like IMAX, you're adorable. This thing is nuts. I have never been in anything so immersive.
It's almost like California. What is that?
Soarin'?
Over California, because it kind of
Yeah.
wraps.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, it was just so freaking immersive.
get all
I
the
could not believe.
smells?
If you get a chance, there's one in Los Angeles. There's one in Dallas.
with.
I don't know where the third location is, but apparently they're opening one in Detroit.
Yeah.
Guys, if one opens near you, go to it.
It
It
is
was
an experience.
a crazy experience. All right, what's next?
Your Name Says, what actor actress surprised you with their singing? Singer with their acting chops. Years ago, when she was still a child actress on Nickelodeon, I heard Ariana Grande sing at a televised ice skating gala. Wow.
The actor who really surprised me with their voice, there have been a couple, but the one that stands out to me most is probably Anne Hathaway. When she sang I Dreamed a Dream in Les Mis, I'm like, are you sure that's her? I mean, it won her an Oscar.
So you weren't an Ella Enchanted fan? She's singing that.
Oh, that's right, she did. But
Yeah.
she didn't sound as good
Nah, she sounds
as she
killer
sang I
as
Dreamed a Dream.
that
Because
one, yeah.
here's the other thing. I Dreamed a Dream, not an easy song to sing. And that really blew me away. As far as singers, then acting, I don't know if I've ever been really impressed. I mean, you could say Jennifer Hudson, but I never knew her before she did
Right.
not Golden Girls.
Dream Girls?
Dream Girls.
Golden Girls. That's
Definitely not Golden
Oh,
Girls.
that would have been
different.
great if she was in
So
Golden Girls.
I didn't really, that didn't equate with me. So I don't know that I've ever really been impressed by a singer's performance in a movie. Now, there have been some, hey, carried your weight. Awesome. There have been some decent ones. Can you think of any?
I mean, honestly, Taylor Swift, when she showed up in that terrible Valentine's Day movie, I thought she was hilarious. She was so funny.
You could say like Whitney Houston went from singing to acting for The
Yeah.
Guardian, right? The Guardian,
Body-
or
the Bodyguard.
Bodyguard.
Body-
And then
Body-
also
not My
for
Bodyguard.
the preacher's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great.
You know
I
what?
would-
She was pretty good
She was
in
excellent.
Bodyguard.
I would
actually.
say, and
not Oscar level,
But
but,
for her-
but pretty darn good.
for her level of acting, which was nil, was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then I would say the opposite was Ewan McGregor in Moulin Rouge.
Moulin
I had
Rouge.
no idea.
Same.
I had no idea
I was
he could sing
blown
like
away.
that.
My gift is my
He's so good.
song, and this one's for you. Moulin Rouge, one of my top 20 all-time favorite films. All right, what's next?
Lego Ego says, I could see the live action Lego movies working if they take a Toy Story direction with it. Imagine Sonic style CGI Lego minifigures wondering where their Andy has gone once he's grown up. Minecraft movie may inform the direction too.
Could. I mean, I think that I do think the best comparison to how they're going to handle a live action Lego movie is Sonic. I think that's the comparison. It's going to be, my guess is, a live action world with live action actors and then these CGI Lego figures. That seems to be the best way for them to go about it, but they may have something tricky up their sleeve that we're not even thinking about, so we'll see how that turns out. All right, what's next?
Stoner Watch Production says, John, 99% of the time when I'm listening to the show, I'm driving, so I can't see when the spoiler warning comes up. Usually have to bail and come back.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that we've got to figure out for the audio podcast.
Well,
but
we do. To be fair, we do timestamp it,
Yeah,
and we
do
warn it.
timestamp.
So I would say
Even in the podcast, we have it in the
Yeah.
podcast notes. The timestamps are there.
Yeah.
So like then we make sure we give a big verbal warning
Yeah.
when we're about to go into spoilers. And then it's right there in the description in the timestamp that if you want to get to the end of that, you can jump to that even in the audio thing. Now, yes, you can't visually see
Right.
the
We'll figure out
spoilers
tomorrow.
warning we
I
put
don't,
up.
I don't mean
but-
to give you more work, Jonathan, but what Amy and I do on our show is we've got the spoiler banjo. And so before we do spoilers, you hear this banjo go off. So
But
there's
does
just
it
this
play
cue.
all the way through your spoiler talk?
No.
That
no.
would be
You have
amazing
to
if it
cap
did.
Just the entire thing is us being like, so in Moon Knight, ding, 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 ding.
Just a little low playing in the background, ambiance music.
Yeah.
like the guy on Pirates of the Caribbean on the rocking chair.
All right, what's next?
Send me your blade script, says
Like,
That
get your
triggered
head-
Ray.
Okay,
Oh,
so
man.
that's 4 out of 6 segments. That's 4 out of 6.
There
Okay,
we
you got
go.
a tic-tac-toe right there.
Been swimming in luscious TV lately. Binged The Boys and Gen V, loved it. Got caught up with Shrinking, incredible. Got my sister hooked on it. Penguin, well, what a tall glass of water that thing is. And Silo season 2 drops in 10 days.
Batman Beyond next is what he said at the end of
Oh,
that.
look at that. Batman Beyond next. Is there a cartoon for that coming out?
What an
No, but I'm wondering if they've never seen it.
adorable fantasy.
Enjoy.
Oh, unless you're
It's
talking about
wonderful.
binging the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking he means the animated.
Yeah, it's
Silo coming back. I'm pretty. I wasn't even sure we would ever get Silo season 2, but I'm really glad that one's coming back. We watched the new episode of Shrinking last night. Here's the thing. We went over to. I mentioned this on open mic last night. The other night, Ann and I went to our friend's place. She's the producer of Designing Hollywood. We went over to her house and hung out with her and her partner. And the plan was we were going to watch, like we had this big dinner spread, and then we were going to watch the Ryan Reynolds film, Just Friends. Because we felt like watching a good comedy.
Oh, I love that movie.
But when we got there, we were eating and we were talking, and it's like, oh, what's really good on TV right now? It's like, well, obviously Shrinking is amazing. And then they said, we haven't watched Shrinking. And we're like, cancel our plans. We're going to watch the first 3 or 4 episodes of Shrinking instead of Just Friends. And they got hooked within about 10 minutes. And so then Ann and I came home and got caught up on the next episode of season 2. Oh, it's this show is so good. I'm just waiting for it to lose steam, and it doesn't. It's just so good. Guys, if you're not watching Shrinking, watch Shrinking. All right, what's next?
I had a pool joke there, but I'm going to move on. Naveed says, one of 2, hi, John and crew. I love you from Iran.
Oh, thank you, man.
It's cool, man. I wanted to say that out of the actors I'm considering for the role of Kratos, I think Hugh Jackman is a good choice. I think Hugh is tall and huge and also perfect for the role of a tired old man.
You know what? He would actually be perfect.
And a fierce warrior. Also, with makeup, I think he could look like Kratos. Also, I always wanted Mads Mikkelsen to play Doctor Doom, but now I
Same.
think he's perfect for Magneto, and he looks very similar to the comic book version.
Yeah, how they look is not really all that important to me. But, I mean, yes. Mads Mikkelsen would make a great Magneto.
Great picks for both
But it depends, right? If they want a Magneto who's really more in his early 40s at this point, so they can have their Magneto for a long time, then maybe Mads Mikkelsen isn't the right choice. Not to mention, Mads Mikkelsen is already in the MCU.
Right. So
Right?
let's go with Vigo then.
Vigo might also be too old. He's already in his 60s.
All right.
But it depends on what they want to go
Right,
for.
right.
Right? But as far as Hugh Jackman as Kratos, I grimaced at first when I read that, but
Hey,
maybe not. Maybe
at that
it's not
nose.
such a bad idea.
look at his nose and look at Kratos' nose. It's kind of a.
I mean, I don't care about.
Just kidding,
I really
man.
don't
Just
care
kidding.
about how they look, but I mean, this is going to be. Look, they just attached the greatest showrunner in the business with Ronald D. Moore being the showrunner. He's the best in television. There's nobody better, and he's going to be running this show. So immediately excited. But it still leaves the biggest question. The casting of Kratos has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be somebody we know. It can be a newcomer. It can be somebody we know and recognize, but they have to get the casting on this right. They so have to get the casting right. So
It's going to be a great breakout film for if a newcomer does get the
as
role.
long as they don't screw it up, it'll
yeah,
be
as
a
long
great
as it's a
breakout
good show.
film,
Yeah, it'll be a good breakout.
This is where Hugh Jackman's finally going to get his moment.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman finally going to get his flowers.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Suthia says, rewatching the finale of WandaVision frustrates me to no end. Where the hell has Vision been? By the time Vision Quest comes out, it would be over 5 years without seeing him. He is my top 5 character or favorite character. It bumps me out that there's such a big gap. I mean, we addressed that sort of in the Marvel issues.
I mean, that's the thing. When were they supposed to do another Vision story? Right? And just because Vision is out there doesn't mean he has to be right where one of the other shows or movies are taking place at that moment. You know, White Vision went off on his own kind of quest and we'll get caught up with him eventually. I thought the finale of WandaVision was great. I think WandaVision is the best thing by miles that Disney Plus has done. But I mean, listen, that's going to happen. You're going to get a character that does something, and then you're just going to have to wait because they have 8 other movies to do and 8 other TV shows to do, and they can only do so much. And guys, it's only going to get worse once X-Men come in. It's only going to get worse. This was, by the way, and don't get me wrong, I am excited for X-Men coming into the MCU. I am. But this was one of the reasons why people got mad at me when I said, when Fox and Comcast, not Fox, so when Disney and Comcast were both trying to buy Fox, I was saying I hope Comcast wins. Now, John, don't you want to see the X-Men in the MCU? Not necessarily. The MCU is already so freaking crowded. I want to get more than one X-Men title movie every 5 years. And I said, with multiple studios making content, we're going to get more of it. And they can only do so much. So if you think it's bad now that they have a little bit of a cliffhanger with Vision and now you got to wait 4 or 5 years, get used to it. Because with all the new X characters coming in on top of all the catalog they already have, you're going to be waiting a long time in between stories. All of them. So just buckle up and be ready for it. All right, what's next?
Brown O'Connor says, "Hey crew, I know for corporate reasons this was probably was never a possibility, but Blade should have happened during the Marvel Netflix era. I don't believe they can convincingly adapt vampires into the MCU currently. It's too tough a concept to crack. Well, they have werewolves.
Easiest
We've got
thing in the world.
werewolves. We've got witches. We've got a ghost. What, man?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
And
Respectfully.
vampires, other than
Sorry, I got
zombies,
heated.
other than zombies, vampires are the easiest things to do.
Yeah. Because they live
This is
among
as
us.
mad as I get. I'm a
Because
feral
they live
hobbit.
among us.
Hey,
Yeah,
let me
I
have a vampire.
I do not think vampires are a tough nut to crack. I mean, you can do them well or do them badly, just like you do with anything else.
Yeah.
Blade 3. But, I mean, it's really not that difficult.
I think the only problem with vampires is they just seem less formidable compared to the villains we have in the MCU. They can make him a little bit tougher, I guess, but it's I don't know. It's like trench coat mafia.
Tracksuit Mafia.
Tracksuit.
But
He's
that
got a
was the
trench
thing.
coat living right there.
Sorry.
Difference between-
One of the
I'm
things
sorry,
that really
I
bugged
didn't
me
say
about Blade 3, and there were many things to be bothered about Blade 3, but was the fact that vampires are supposed to be these dread nightmares. And then by the time you got to Blade 3, anybody can kill a vampire. It's really
Yeah.
not that hard.
Right.
Like, what's the guy say on pitch meeting? Like, super easy, barely an inconvenience. I mean, that's really what vampires became. No problem. Vampire, flick, and vampire. It's super easy to kill vampires. So, yeah, I do hope that when they do bring in vampires, they do make them a problem.
Yeah, they have to be, or also just what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point then? They are the next tracksuit mafia.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Otherwise,
tracksuit
yeah.
mafia.
Bro.
Trench coat mafia. Those are all the ladies trying to get you, Ray.
Bob, there's the callback for you.
There.
All right, what's next?
Brian is back and says, maybe it's my old age now, but I'd rather not have something. I'd rather not have something good than have some. Well, I think he means I'd rather have something good than have something bad. I don't get upset anymore when something I'm looking forward to doesn't end up happening. Blade, Batman, Affleck's Batman, etc.
I do wish we got that Affleck Batman movie.
That's Solo. Yeah.
That solo one that he was going to do with Deathstroke. I bet that would have been. I mean, the reports where it was like there were people inside Warner Brothers saying it was the best Batman script ever written.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's true or not, who knows? But I do. Yeah, listen. I also don't. I'm at the point, and I've seen so many projects come that never get to production that I just kind of understand now. Don't get too excited until you hear the cameras are rolling.
And
Hey,
even
they're
then-
developing this. Great. Lots of things get developed and then never go into production. So
Even
I'm
then,
just kind of at that now.
you go away.
Yeah.
You get cut.
Yeah. Even then.
So that happens. And yeah, I'm with you. I would rather, like, if the thing that's holding up Blade is that every script they're coming up with is crap, then good. Wait. Yeah, don't just give us a crappy Blade movie just for the sake of giving us a crappy Blade movie.
Give me a crappy movie.
He's like, I've done the waiting.
Give me something.
Sorry, John. I've done that song and dance, but at this point, just let me see how he looks at least. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah.
I
You're
know, I
right.
get it. You're right. I mean, once you're waiting 3 hours for the steak to come, you're ready to say, just give me some freaking fries.
Exactly.
I mean, I get it. So yeah, we'll see. All right, what's next?
Ryan says, likelihood we'll see Shang-Chi 2, Eternals 2, and Black Panther 3. I feel like Feige and these filmmakers will have lost interest and move on from these stories.
Shang-Chi 2,
for
definitely.
sure. See that.
Like that we already know. Like there's a reason they're keeping Daniel around to run that 100%. That's definitely happening. Eternals 2, here's what I absolutely believe. I absolutely believe we will see Eternals again. But I don't know if it'll be in their own standalone movie.
I don't either.
Because Kevin Feige really likes Eternals. So I think we will see some of the characters again, but whether we will see a proper Eternals 2, not so sure. Black Panther 3, no.
I think we'll see a Black
I think
Panther.
we're going to get Wakanda stuff. I think we're going to see Wakanda related stuff. I don't know if we're going to see a Black Panther 3 proper unless they wise up and just recast the role of T'Challa. Because you can do that. Still, it's not too late. It is the Marvel Fake Death universe. But unless they do that, I don't think we're going to get like a Shuri-led Black Panther 3. But that's just my guess. I don't know. All right, what's next?
Joe Wakefield says, are any of you Tremors fans? Because original screenwriters S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock have secured the rights to the original film script, so a remake or a sequel is likely coming. However, they can't use anything from the other 6 movies. Can they use Kevin Bacon?
All right. I love the original Tremors.
Mm-hmm.
Because I forget the actor's name, but Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, was the lead guy in that with Kevin Bacon. I love the original Tremors. As far as I'm concerned, none of the other ones exist.
Mm-hmm.
So that works perfectly fine for me that they can't use any of the stuff that they brought up in the other ones. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I would love to see Fred Ward. Thank you. Wolfpack21 in the live chat. Got that. It was Fred Ward is the actor. By the way, watch Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins.
He recently passed.
It's so funny. Anyway, yeah, he did recently pass away. It's good. I would love to see another Tremors. Did you ever watch Tremors?
Yeah, that's why I always called Dune Boring Tremors.
Oh, that's right. Boring Tremors.
I'm a gremlin. I like that movie more. I'm sorry.
I do like that original Tremors. All right, what's next?
See, Anonymous says, if they ever do bring Andrew back as Spidey, I hope they adapt the new Ultimate Spider-Man. They won't, but he'd be perfect for it. Also, have you read Absolute Batman? Imagine if Batman was working class, 24, 6'6", and pissed, and has an axe. It's fun. It's a fun book.
Oh, sign me
Yes,
up.
it's they're doing this totally different approach with Batman, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you though, I like playing around with the mythology of characters as long as you maintain those core essential elements. Bruce Wayne, the heir of the Wayne Foundation and the Wayne Empire, and that stuff is kind of essential to me.
His privilege definitely is,
Yeah,
so that he can do what he wants.
Take that stuff away.
Yeah.
It's kind of not Batman to me anymore.
Sure.
But listen, Batman's been around for 1,000 years. So, I mean, I get them trying something different, trying something new. Have you had a chance to read any of that yet?
No, I just got excited about Batman with an axe. Let's go.
But the Spider-Man story is so good.
Oh yeah, Ultimate's great.
Yeah. Because again, but
good.
they maintain the core essential kind of elements to him.
Yeah.
But it's really good. And you're right. He would be great for that, but you're also right. They won't do it.
Yeah.
But who knows if Andrew, I don't think he will, but it would be, Andrew's my favorite Spider-Man. So I would love to see him
Same.
return. We'll see. All right. What's next?
Okay, Rob Buck says,
Rob.
hey, John, as someone who is not a normal watcher of the sports ball, I'm liking Filthy Sports.
Oh, thank you.
When my question is, when we talk about large IP franchises like Star Wars expanding their worlds, do you see us ever getting a sports movies? I'd love to see a movie about a struggling pod racer getting ready for the big race on Mulster, or a movie about the Chudley Cannons Quidditch team finally winning a season. They're the Chicago Cubs of Quidditch, of which I am a fan. Your thoughts?
Oh, so it's kind of like like they're taking the sports from
within that world.
Yeah, the sport
okay.
from that world, and then actually basing a movie on that. I don't think so. Probably
I
not.
could see that more like a
The
series. or
Quidditch
something.
one, though, I
It's
think has
series,
more
yeah.
possibilities.
At the very least, those are great video games.
Yes.
Kind of like when you play Final Fantasy and then you just kind of get lost in Blitzball or Chocobo racing.
Right. Those little mini games.
Yeah,
I always,
Yeah.
always play poker like in Red Dead Redemption.
Oh,
I just sit
yeah.
in a bar and play poker.
that's true. Yeah, Pokemon Stadium. Just go do the sushi
But
game.
a Quidditch-centric one, yes. But in Star Wars, no.
A pod
No,
racing one.
I don't see them doing Days of Thunder with pod racers.
That would be really
It'd be really
cool,
fun
though.
though. Yeah.
It'd be a cool. Again, listen, I hate the prequels. I hate them passionately, but there are things about them that I like, and the pod race sequence. I unapologetically love the pod race. I mean, I could have done without the freaking alien twins. Oh, there goes Quad De Niro.
No, but the-
what the fuck?
Yeah, the sound
But-
engineering and the sound editing for that scene
Yeah,
was so
yeah.
good.
Ben Burt, man, Ben Burt, who also edited the movies. He was the sound designer for those and the original Star Wars film. I love the pod race sequence. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Let's see. Wesley Cunningham says, "Is Neon starting to move in on the horror space after Cuckoo, which I wanted to see him miss? Long Legs this year, next year's Presents, and the Monkey look like the freakiest horror trailers I've seen in a while. Taking on a Blumhouse meets A24 identity as a studio.
I mean, Neon has always kind of made
Freaky stuff.
what I would say
Yeah.
like borderline psychological kind of horror
Right.
Sure.
stuff as well. They've always been in that space. But listen, what Blumhouse has done is they've really brought an eternal truth to the forefront for everybody to deal with and recognize. Low budget horror is pretty easy to do. And if you can do it well, because listen, there's a lot of Blumhouse films that suck ass. But that's fine because they make some great ones and they make them for pocket change. And that is very appealing to mid-level studios or lower level studios like Neon, A24, stuff like that, that you can make, if you have a great idea and you can make good low budget horror that has huge returns, I think you're going to start seeing more get into it as well. All right, what's next?
Brandon Salas says, "Hey crew, finally saw Strange Darling over the weekend and absolutely loved it. Unbelievable performance from the female lead who played Roscoe in Reacher. Have you guys seen it?" I have. It is intense.
That was the one that was like, go in blind.
Yeah.
You know,
you
I
should.
never did watch it.
So just, I'm sure you can stream it at some point. Worth it for sure.
Yeah, I remember talking to a friend of mine saying, so I saw the trailer, and they're like, you know what? Don't even watch the trailer again.
I know.
Go in as blind as possible. I'm like, okay. And then I totally forgot about the movie. But you did see it.
Man, my heart rate was like this is like tense.
So it's
Yeah.
good.
Very good.
All right, I got to check it. Do you know what streaming service is on right now?
I'll have to look it up, but it's
All right.
very good.
I'll have to check it out.
Corilu Stromboli. While I played Pokemon Sun in 2016, I nicknamed my Vikavolt Beetlejuice. For context, Vikavolt is an electricity beetle, and Juice is slang for electrical energy. So there you go, guys.
That's what it looks like.
You're pulling a ray. I can't see it on my screen.
Oh no, I was trying to angle it for you.
I will confess I've never played a Pokemon game.
They're so good.
Either in card form or video game. I know Anne got really, like so many people did. Anne got hooked on Pokemon Go for like a good year. She was like constantly playing that. I mean, that thing was such a huge trend. There was like a 6-month period there where you couldn't go anywhere without seeing people walking on sidewalks going,
Well, yeah, especially that one Comic-Con when it first launched.
Oh,
just
people
gonna
were
say.
all
Yeah.
over
Oh,
Comic-Con.
We had a blast. It was so much fun. It
They
was
were-
better than the convention some
they were-
days.
but you know what? It was a game that got people out and walking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It actually got people outside.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
a little too outside. A couple people actually walked off like
Yeah,
edges.
cliff.
of-
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing
Yeah.
about that.
Well, it helped keep me sane in the pandemic too. I kept going then. When I'd be like, I should just walk to CBS today. I'm gonna walk for 10 miles. That sounds fun.
You know what Anne's big pandemic game was?
What?
Animal Crossing.
So many people.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about how many hours she put in on that game. It was crazy.
I have a lot of friends who are into that, or like Stardew Valley, or like Logan likes to decorate in Skyrim, and I can go do that in my real life. Where he'd be like, I'm gonna go make my farm in Animal Crossing. I'd be
Actually,
like,
wait,
you can
Logan
go plant
plays Stardew?
a I think he does.
I've always
Amy does.
thought about starting up with that.
I have it. I downloaded
you
it, but I
haven't
haven't
Stardew
played it.
Valley, right?
I've
Yeah,
always
Stardew
heard
Valley.
great things about
Oh,
Stardew
that
Amy
like a
Newman's
farming
obsessed
game?
with it. She
Yeah,
loves it.
but it's a
Sort
little
of.
bit more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've wanted to check it out,
Yeah.
but everybody tells me it's really good.
It's charming.
I don't
You
know
can
that
also
I-
have a haunted, spooky little farm.
Nice.
Ooh.
I didn't know. I don't think I had a specific game that I was playing, but I definitely was like playing Lo-Fi Girl on YouTube, like
Oh, all the
constantly.
time. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Bry Guy says, "Hey John, which non-existent projects would interest you? Blumhouse developing a Lego-themed horror mystery film?
I like that idea.
Set like an escape room or Saw-like traps, or
Nope.
our live-action Calvin and Hobbes Peanuts movie from Ron Howard, Bryce Dallas Howard. I think I
That
like
one.
the first one.
First of all, Calvin and Hobbes I think is the greatest comic strip ever made. It's so deep and wonderful, and God, I love Calvin and Hobbes so much. It would be very tricky. It would be very, very tricky to do Calvin and Hobbes live action. I don't think anybody wants to see a live action Peanuts. Peanuts is the way it is. Leave Peanuts where
Yeah,
it
I'd
is.
want Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes. I've often thought about a Dilbert live action. I think Dilbert could be done live action. I know they tried to do an animated show with it. It didn't work out so well. Dilbert was also very funny back in the day. But yeah, Calvin and Hobbes, listen, I'll just say this. If they could crack the code on it, I would love to see it. But I just think it would be really, really tough. All right, what's next?
Sean Clegg says, "Hey guys, sorry John, but I'm with Ray. Red One looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of turn your brain off fun, and I'm excited to see it.
Let's go.
Don't worry, Ray, I'm with you."
Let's go.
You know what? And
It's Christmas time. Come on.
I legitimately hope you're right. I mean, listen, some of my favorite movie-going experiences is when I think a movie looks terrible and I go and I get to have a really good time with it. And I love Chris Evans, and I love The Rock, and I love JK, and I love Lucy Liu, and I would love for this to be great. I hope you're right.
I'm gonna make a prediction for you.
I just don't think you are. So,
I'm gonna make a bold statement right here.
all right, here it is.
Okay.
This is gonna be Dwayne Johnson's
Yeah.
best movie
Hit us.
in the past 2 years.
All right.
That's a high bar, Ray. That's a high bar.
Is it going to make more than
Return
a
to
Black Adam?
form, baby.
It could make a Black Adam.
It could make a Black
That
Adam.
would be incredible.
It won't make a blackout.
As long as it puts smiles on people's faces during Christmas, it doesn't matter how much.
I think at
to
most
them.
it makes like 250 million.
Whoa.
But I mean, but again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope this turns out to be great. All right, what's next?
A level 4 naughty lister. Diane says, I'm going to
Oscar.
perfect that line. I mentioned earlier that I wasn't a huge fan of Shrinking, but was watching for Harrison Ford. Season 2 has been really good, and I even shared the show with my sister today. As she needed something funny to get through election night, she loves it. I haven't seen season 2.
It's good.
Man, I don't think there's a single weak link character in that show. Liz, Derek, their son. I didn't like the son at first, but now I love the son. And the way Liz interacts, like, he's such a whiny bitch, but I love him more than anything.
I love hearing the fact that people are watching something with Harrison Ford in it that's people are enjoying. I mean,
It's the first thing I've seen him care that he's in
Yeah.
right.
in forever.
Honestly, though,
It's very important to give him his flowers. you know
not
what
the
I
same level as Harrison Ford, but I'm really glad like Jason Segel has like a great property
Yeah.
He's
too.
perfect in it.
He's so
Yeah.
good. He does
You
a
know who
great
else I
job.
really love? The other therapist, the third therapist.
Oh,
that he
Jessica
has-
Williams?
Is that her name? What's her name?
Jessica Williams?
Jessica Lambs?
Williams.
Jessica Williams. I've never known her name.
Oh, yeah.
She's so good.
She's great.
And her comedic timing energy is so perfect with Jason Segel's comedic timing energy, and her dynamic with Liz is awesome, and her dynamic with Harrison Ford is awesome.
And with Derek?
Oh,
Oh, what's up, G-Spot?
hey, what's up, Jason? He calls her G-spot.
Like, we don't have time for me to tell you why that's wrong.
Now my
So
student
good.
thinks we're banging. Oh, cool. Derek is so good.
I love him.
Derek is so great.
love him
Anyway,
so
okay,
much.
what's next?
Joel says, "Hey John, came back from my honeymoon in Italy. Man,
Nice.
the food was so good over there. The pasta, the steak in Florence, gelato. I had gelato in every city. They're all different, etc. The food over there got me thinking, what the heck am I doing here in New York? I need to move. Great experience.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
Florence is so beautiful, too.
you know, Anne has been to Italy 3 times. I think she's gone to Italy 3 times. I'm Italian. I've never been there.
I've gone twice.
Dang, I've gone 3 times.
Have you gone 3 times? I need to go. I still have
beautiful.
family there.
Yeah.
I just up in Calabria. I gotta get it out there, but I've just
man.
never gone because I hate to fly.
Oh, it's a great flight though. If you,
Yeah.
well, you have to like save up so that's like a real good flight. But man, my mom and I, we went for my 30th and her 60th.
What do you mean a real good flight?
Like a first class flight.
Right.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, but
first of all-
you still stopped in London though.
I know
Heathrow.
you're
Oh, yeah,
lying.
And then
Yeah.
I know you're lying because you are not 30.
Thank you, John.
throwing that out there.
Thank
Man, you want a
But
flight?
We stayed. We went to Lake Como, and then we got to see Padme's palace, which was really exciting. And no one cared except for me. My mom was like, "No one gives a shit, Christine. No one cares that that's Star Wars palace."
Here's a tip
You were
for
like
everyone.
Padme's Palace.
that?
The one
I
like,
was like, "Oh."
Make sure your flight has a lot of turbulence. That's real good for the mind.
I don't like turbulence. My dad was a pilot.
You know what? Here's the funny thing. Because I'm so afraid of heights and I
Mm-hmm.
hate flying, it surprises people when they'll say to me, "So man, you must really hate when there's turbulence." I go, "Actually, I don't mind turbulence." They're like, "Yeah," I'm like, seriously, when turbulence happens and I'm on a plane, 'cause I hate flying because I'm afraid of heights. But if you were sitting beside me on a plane, you would never know I was afraid of heights.
You know what,
I'm really
John?
good at faking it. But when the turbulence hits, I literally just lean back, close my eyes, and I'm imagining I'm on a bus.
Okay, you know what, John?
And I just imagine
You're on
I'm
an Airbus.
No, yeah.
You're a weird guy. To be that far in the air and not that thing freaks me out. Turbulence freaks me out.
One time I hit turbulence so bad I like hit my head on the ceiling.
Okay.
Oh
Creaked
no,
my neck.
really?
Yeesh.
I've never. You know, there was
You're
this
tall
one
though
time.
too.
Right.
You're probably like that close already anyway.
The worst turbulence I ever had
heard you
was
in
the
the
first
crack.
time I went to Austin, Texas for South by Southwest.
Ooh.
So fun.
It-
What a short run.
The descent was awful. Not as bad that I would have hit my head, but I think the worst I've ever heard about was when we were nominated for Best Live Series at the Academy of Web Television Awards, and the ceremony was in Vegas. I'm trying to remember what was the name of the redhead Australian girl that worked with us.
Oh, that was
Alicia
Ashley
Malone.
Malone.
Ashley
Or
Malone.
Alicia.
Alicia, and she's fabulous. She's so good at what she does. But she was the last one to get there. And there was the most brutal storm in Las Vegas I'd ever seen. And she said, she was late getting there. She said, because they came in for the landing and got within about 100 feet of the ground, but the wind shears were so bad, the pilot had to abort, circle around the city again, come back, abort again, circle around the city. And they said, this is our last attempt. If we can't land, we're heading back to LA. And she said, it was like the whole way the down was like this. She goes,
Crosswind.
but they got the wheels down. I'm like, whew,
Spooky.
glad I drove that one. Glad I drove. All right. Sorry. We're overtime. What's next?
Okay, Joel says, and this one's adorable. My wife is a Game of Thrones fan. I started watching first season episode 1 last night, and so far I really like the first episode. Spoiler, I can't believe they killed the kid at the end of the episode. You're adorable. But I'm sure I'm in for worse things. That's actually
Yup.
the worst thing that happens in
Just-
the entire series.
yep.
Joel,
Everything
nothing
else
else
is good.
bad happens.
Just that kid.
Everyone gets along for the rest of the ride.
I started the first season, got up to episode 4, and then I heard a wolf. They didn't show it, but I heard a.
Oh,
And
those
I
are the
just
hardest
stopped.
moments to get through.
Yeah.
Are you eating?
No, it's just something got.
It's his
Flew in
tooth.
my mouth.
His tooth came out. His tooth just dropped out.
It's just some flew in my mouth. All right. I was going to say something, but I won't. What's next?
All right, Anonymous with the Skeleton Crew. No, sorry, Anonymous with Skeleton Crew. Less than a month away. I wanted to remind everyone of the Stack Directors Room that it has, which includes Watts, Bryce Dallas Howard, the Daniels, David Lowery.
I didn't know the Daniels are directing an episode.
Apparently so. David Lowery, the Green Knight of the Green Knight, and Jack Schreier of Thunderbolts, and Lee Isaac Chung of Minari.
First of all, I adore Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought what she did on her episodes of Boba Fett were the only things worth watching. Like, she did such a good job. And then her Mandalorian episodes, she's got such a, I know the fact that she's Ron Howard's daughter and she's so closely connected to George Lucas, but she understands Star Wars. And I look forward to more and more stuff that she does. I'm telling you what, though, that trailer for Skeleton Crew is so good. Now, again, I am very aware that I also thought the trailers for Obi-Wan were great, and I ended up being disappointed in that show. And I thought the trailers for Ahsoka were great, and I ended up being disappointed in that show. And I thought the trailers for The Acolyte were great, and I ended up being disappointed in that show. So maybe that happens here too, granted. But with John Watt being there overseeing this whole thing, and that director's room, and that trailer was absolute nuclear fire. It was so perfect. I'm very, very excited for the show. Maybe it disappoints me like a lot of the other ones did, but I think this one's going to be really good. All right, what's next?
Okay, Anonymous says, regarding the possibility of Agatha season 2, I'd make a somehow Palpatine return joke, but honestly, I could totally see Agatha suddenly being back and driving everyone around her insane as they try to get her to explain how she was resurrected.
I mean, listen, one of the things that I think they will do is I don't think, whether it's in Agatha season 2 or whether it's in somebody else's movie or something like that, I don't think Agatha stays a ghost for long. I think she, what's the word I'm looking, corporealizes? She takes a corporeal form again. I think she will be back one way or the other. Then hopefully though, it's not going to be a situation where the next time we see her, she's already back in a physical body. They'd never explain how or why.
They need to build it up. But again, that would be comic booky because they gave Agatha a younger form now, essentially because of Catherine Hahn's performance. She's been this old lady this whole time, did the whole ghost thing. And then when she reformed as a human again, she was hot, young Agatha Harkness. So.
All right. What's next?
Tron says, you asked if Fast 11 is still happening. My question is, what's going on with the Hobbs movie that was supposed to bridge from 10 to 11?
Yeah.
Is that happening still, or has it been scrapped? Maybe Rock appears in Fast 11?
Yeah, they were supposed to do, because at the end of Fast 10, it introduces, Hobbs comes back, and we were supposed to get a movie that was supposed to be the connective tissue, and Jason Momoa was supposed to be in it, that connects Fast 10 to Fast 11. I haven't heard squat about it. And it very well, they could be ready to start rolling cameras in 4 months. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if that thing was off the table now too. I really wouldn't. It's a good question though, because I've totally forgotten about it.
At this point, do they even need it anymore? I think they could just go in Fast 11, just have everyone
Did
back.
they ever need it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that they do. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says, John, someone you might have heard of is doing a new Faulty Towers. This guy called John Cleese. He wrote the original with his first wife. He's written this series with the daughter and his second wife. By the way, the first 6-episode season was 1975. Second 6 was set in 79. So he's coming back to Faulty Towers.
I didn't know that. Are they redoing Faulty Towers?
Maybe he's coming back to
Good
it.
old Basil's back. All right.
Oh my God.
That's fun.
The original Faulty Towers is so funny. It was so funny. And if they're actually going to do a new one, now, is John Cleese writing one and then they hope to find somebody who will make it? Or do they actually have a production deal in place? Either way, if it does come about, I'll definitely be there to watch it. And is that it?
A couple more.
All right.
All right, Garden Variety just follows up. Also, there was 2 90-minute specials that reopened and revisited in 05 and 09, the last with the great Stephen Fry.
I never knew that.
I didn't know that either.
I had no idea. I mean, they just very quietly did it. Then again, I wasn't even sure. We were talking about Faulty Towers the other day, and I couldn't even remember if they did a second season, but apparently they did.
Okay, so there's 3 more, and they're just from Garden Variety as well.
All right.
So it is also a play at the Apollo Theatre in London's West End, directed by Caroline J. Ranger, adapted by John Cleese. But he's not in the stage version. Adam Jackson Smith plays the role of Basil. The play will run until March.
Yeah, John Cleese is getting a little old to do live stage productions.
And I've shared this before. If you like Faulty Towers, you might also like watch Black Adder and a bit of Fry and Laurie.
Hell yeah.
Such great comedy geniuses: Rowan Atkinson, Brian Blessed, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie. It was a long time before I realized Hugh Laurie did comedy before, because I just knew him as, and many other British masterpiece collaborate. And for those who know Hugh Laurie only from the medical show House, that was me originally, might be surprised, but he's British with wicked comedy chops and timing, truly among the best. Also add Jeeves and Wooster with Fry and Laurie.
So fun too.
You know what? He's got a show, and I think it's getting a second season, where he's Hugh Laurie, where he's the captain of a space cruiser.
Oh yeah, with Josh Gad.
Ooh.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I did not check it out.
I watched the first couple of episodes, and it wasn't great, but it was pretty good.
Okay.
And I just never got around to watching the rest of it.
I saw the trailers and went, "Oh, that's fun," and then I never tuned in.
Yeah, and I watched the first few episodes. I thought, okay, this has got potential. This is pretty good. And I just never kept watching. I never made the decision to stop watching it. But I don't know if anybody in the live chat remembers what the name of the show is. But I think the name of the show is the name of the Starliner, the space cruiser. I just
Avenue
can't.
5.
Avenue 5 is the name of it. Terrible name for a show. For that kind of show, terrible name for the show. But it looked like it had potential. I understand they're getting a second season.
There was a show, now that I say it, I'm like, you know what? I knew Hugh Laurie before House. When I was a kid, I used to watch this show called The Young Ones on MTV in the 80s, so this is dating me. But that's Hugh Laurie right there in the red shirt, red tie, next to the long hair guy.
Laurie?
What?
Yeah, that's Hugh Laurie with the red tie. There you go. And that's where I remember him from originally.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
Are you
Hugh Laurie,
sure?
Hugh Laurie is absolutely in The Young Ones.
Are you sure that's him, though?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just one of those pictures where you just can't tell. But
He's credited
wow.
right here. Well, I lost it, but he's credited anyway. Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Frost.
Jonathan
Right.
Boyko,
Okay. Blade.
Chris Carr,
Bye.
and my name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.